It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Magical day to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Banning, and I will be your host for this magical, robust lifestyle show. I would like to thank each one of the listeners that are listening to this podcast on the numerous different platforms. I am so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. And as I said, you are in for one magical show today, as I have with me an amazing returning diva, Sandra Mendelson, and her and I will chat about a new understanding of animals. Oh, wow. Are you all in for a magical show today? And with that, Sandra, would you please briefly introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Yes, of course, and thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be back here on Divas. We never know where our conversations will go, but it's always 1 + 1 = 11. I'm Sandra Mendelson. I am an animal communicator and a channel of animal consciousness, which basically means bringing through messages from various different nations, the cat nation or the different species for all of humanity. And I'm also an author, and I've written some books about this. And I also teach workshops for people that want to access their own internal gift to connect with all life. And it is absolutely something that every soul possesses.
Oh, how beautiful. You are giving so much to this world to make it a better place. You are truly a magical diva. And with that, how would you like to start our chatting about a new understanding of animals to share with our listeners today?
Well, I've got a bunch of personal stories, things that have emerged lately in my private sessions with clients' animals, and also even just sitting with wild animals that I feed. And I want to start with that one because it's such fun. I feed chopped almonds to the birds and squirrels because it's healthy and safe and everybody eats it, especially when they're pulverized. And rabbits have also joined in the fun, and they come and they sit near me, but they've never actually touched me. Well, about a week ago, I was dealing with some heartbreak, and I knew I was trying to clear the energy in my heart, and I knew it felt very heavy. And the squirrels did something that they have never done. One of them jumped on my shoulder. Another one sat in my lap for a little bit. And then two more individually came up to me and put their front feet on my leg and looked up at me and said, "You don't need to be sad. There is so much more ahead for you. We feel it in your energy field." So, people always think of, especially squirrels, as being so opportunistic because, yeah, if there's a donut on the ground, they'll eat it. And they are very here and now. We're used to identifying compassion from our animal partners, our dogs, our cats, our horses. But I'm here to tell you unequivocally that if you make this space, and show up in quiet and harmony and, to wild animals, paradise on earth is literally like trees, water, something to eat, and harmony with the humans around them. Everything else they got taken care of. So first, I did want to bring that in about our misunderstanding of animal behavior. Number one, we really underestimate. And then there's been a few interactions I've had with dogs, both telepathically and physically, that I wanted to share. Here's a really common example. I went to the beach the other day and I just sat down, and there was a man to my left with his dog. And immediately the dog comes over and sits in front of me with his back pressed against me. Now, mind you, here I am nursing heartbreak. Please remember that. And the man turned around and said, "Oh, he just likes attention." So we make these assumptions. No, that dog came to comfort me because they remember for animals, energy is the priority. Accomplishment is second. When I was back to the squirrels for a second, when I was really struggling with something, and my mom witnessed this the other day, and I go out to feed them, and they're just screaming and screaming at me, and they won't come down from the tree because it isn't the food that's so important. It's the energetic bond. So if your energy field, if you're really upset or you're struggling, right, they're going to call you out on it, you know? And they're not, again, it's not the food that's the most important thing. They can always find their own food, right?
Right. Oh, it is so true. Because what you said, if you just make the space and show up and just be quiet, and it is amazing how they will help clear your energy field. My one horse, well, two of my horses did it yesterday. One of them, it was just kind of a rough day. We all have them. And my one horse come and he just put his head over the top of my head and just laid it there for just a short period of time. But that's totally unlike him because he's not that kind of a horse. So I'm like, oh my, it gives me the chills now to talk about it because I know he was probably clearing my crown chakra. He was clearing something. And then I went to my mare and she just kind of was so loving. And then she kind of yawned and kind of breathed out heavy. And it was like, yep, you're clearing it too. So it's just amazing when you notice and feel what they're doing. Because, yeah, some people might have said, what are you doing putting your head over my head? You don't do that. And horses aren't supposed to do that. But I'm like, no, he's helping me. And this is his way of doing it right now. So, yeah, it's a new understanding of the animals to understand how they are helping clear your energy field.
And they're also doing something else that we were unaware of in this time where we are waking up. The mission of the animals and why so many wild animals are becoming animal partners to us. We think, oh, rescued the raccoon. I rescued the baby squirrel. I rescued this panther. Every one of these animals shows that situation. They are stepping forward. I even had a camel tell me this. Many species are stepping forward to close the gap with humans and have us live in harmony again, right? The elephants that I talk with in South Africa, one of them keeps escaping because some of the wild elephants were having trouble accepting the fact that people and elephants at this sanctuary are peacefully and respectfully living side by side. Why? Because so much damage has been inflicted on elephants by humans. So it's the mission of many animals to create oneness with humans, right? So if you look at, some people really still have a lot of judgments about wild animals. Don't feed them, don't do this. Throw all the rules out the window. But before you feed a wild animal, find something safe. Do a little bit of research so that you don't harm them. That's the one thing I could tell people. Do not be feeding them potato chips and genetically modified corn, right? But it's people also worry, with wild animals, will they become dependent on you? You know what? They always know how to find their own food. And even if all of a sudden you can't feed them anymore, they're in the moment, they know how to find their own food. They don't starve. They didn't starve before you, and they won't starve after you. So all I'm saying is we have a lot of limiting conversations that prevent us from experiencing harmony and peace, with wild animals. Back to our pet partners. Here's a good one that happened recently. A woman came to me. She had adopted a dog 6 weeks prior. Dog is only 2 or 3. And they labeled her a special needs case. Well, let me tell you and what was the problem? Anytime somebody would come in the woman's house, she would bark and bite. Well, what happened when I really chatted with the dog is she's not a special needs case. She was, from the time she was a puppy, she was adopted by a woman who's an alcoholic, whose brother lived upstairs with 29 cats, and according to the dog, detested his sister, the alcoholic, and detested the dog. So what the dog told me is she drank because of other people, including the brother.
Mhm.
And they have no idea what I'm capable of, but I had to only be a protector, right? And so she said, this woman that took her loved her human even when she was destroying herself. And the reason that she barks and bites is, number one, she doesn't want this woman's light to be affected by the problems of other people. And she doesn't want this woman to then go hurt herself the way her previous human did.
Mhm.
So I had her do an exercise, and where a person's standing. So let's call the woman Anne. Anne is standing facing the dog, and behind Anne is the person. And so I asked the dog, check in with her body. Is her body safe? Yes. Now tune into her energy. Is her energy whole and safe? Yes. The woman called me a couple of days later and said, we had somebody new come to the house and she didn't bark and she didn't bite. Now we got to deal with the dog part because we only dealt with the in-house thing. But my point is, she saw an immediate change in the behavior, and she didn't want to make this dog temporary. She wants to keep her because she flipped the lens. She's not a special needs case. She's a dog that went through a horrible thing from all she knew, and didn't say, "Oh, my human passed away, so I have no one to love me and take care of me." No, she said, "My human passed away, and now I have no one to love and watch over."
Mhm.
So a new understanding of animals means completely flip the lens and imagine and how to reinterpret the behavior you see as either for you or in response to you and your challenges and your beliefs. And just to go even deeper, now, when a dog acts like a protector, they have an abandonment issue. This dog was abandoned because the woman died.
Mhm.
And in my conversations with the woman who took the dog on, and I said, well, if you don't feel comfortable answering this question, then please don't. And I asked her, I said, do you have, an experience of abandonment? Oh my goodness, is this resonating? She said. So you see, we really are all here to heal together. The animals that come to us are experiencing, if you will, the same kind of issues that we get to look at within ourselves.
That is so, so very true.
It's a lot
And
going on.
yeah, a lot going on. And when we can open up our hearts to what these animals are trying to help us with, it changes the whole situation. Just like with this example you just gave with this dog. It's just uh, everything changed. Because at
Well,
first the lady was thinking she was going to have to get rid of it. This wasn't going to work. And a total turnaround when she understood what the dog was trying to say.
but I have yet another story for you. So when
Awesome.
people take in the animals no one wants, right? The ones that have been through known multiple traumas, multiple homes, multiple abuses. And then the animals are with them. In this case, it was two dogs, and they're now seniors for years. Why are the dogs still so symptomatic? And what was not looked at was the wife who has multiple syndromes, whether it's, I don't want to specify what they are.
Mhm.
But again, there is, and of course, the dogs are very attached to the wife. So if you're looking at, why have the dogs not moved on despite the fact that they've been here for 6 blissful years, they have each other, they have us. It's because the issues of, the similar issues in the humans haven't been addressed, right? I mean, I'm not saying that every dog or every cat will heal from every trauma in time. They're all at different levels of capability and evolution. But you don't want to take the human out of the picture when, unbeknownst to us, we're actually feeding the behavior by not looking inside or making an attempt to find out, what are we holding on to? What kind of wounding is coming out as all these illnesses, you know? So, yeah, I mean, then I've even seen the other thing that I think we may have talked about in another show, I'm not sure, is another way of misinterpreting our animals' behavior. They willingly bring through our loved ones, whether they were humans or animals, who are in spirit form. So all of a sudden, you will find this animal, like in my case, my friend's dog, I think I mentioned, 12 times I was sitting in the water and he just ran at full speed and threw himself in my lap to cause me to laugh hysterically. And then he would go onto the beach and roll, just like a horse rolls, and release his energy. And so, of course, the human was like, stop it, Chase, stop it, Chase. I'm like, no, 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 no. This dog feels me. My dog who passed is around me and always said, you need to work on joy. And so 12 times this dog was giving me some joy. It wasn't an accident. He wasn't misbehaving, but we don't have all the pieces of the story. And we tend to say, oh my gosh, he's just an out of control dog. Yeah. No.
Exactly. Right. And there are so many instances like that with all animals, I feel, be it horses, be it dogs, be it the cats, and even the wild animals. I mean, we have quite a few deer around here. And so many times they will just stand there and just watch us in the pasture. And it is so beautiful to just see them standing there and not being afraid, not running, and just watching. It's just like we're exchanging our energies with one another. And it's a beautiful experience.
But there you go. They're stepping forward. They're taking this in because, you live in a harmonious state. And that is so much like a magnet for wild animals to see the best in humans. It hasn't died. It
Yeah.
got, we have a lot of other stuff that has come in through humanity, including intense amounts of technology. But then there are these peace holders, and there are many and growing in the human world. So I'm not surprised that these deer just, do an energy exchange with
Yeah.
you. It really is the way things were once upon a time and still are in the middle of nowhere.
Well, and
But
when you said earlier, live in harmony. And to me, we're all in a full circle web. We all create the web of life. And when humans can understand it as well as the animals do, we can all live in that web together and live in harmony, is how I feel.
well, I couldn't agree with you more. Fortunately, through my work, I get to meet lots of people that feel the way you and I do.
Uh-huh.
And they send me pictures, a woman in Sweden or a woman who lives in the Yukon, almost at the border of Alaska, and the birds come and eat out of their hands and the squirrels sit on their head. There's this beautiful trust happening without all the interference of, masses of humanity and tech. And so I've even had a bison talk about places like this, and you're creating one right on your land. It can be done.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I do it in the driveway in a development with gates and all kinds of, bells and it's temporary place, but you get the idea.
Right.
If you show up, they will trust you.
Well, and that's a beautiful example because no matter where our listeners are, they can experience this. They don't have to be just out totally in the country. They can be in a park, be in town, be wherever they are. I feel it's more up to us humans to show up and come from our heart space because the animals are there waiting for us.
Absolutely. We need only one thing. The number one thing you mentioned is to be in our hearts.
Mhm.
And number two is just to be consistent.
Yeah.
That they watch you.
Yeah.
They'll be watching from the trees,
Hmm.
and you become the person that feeds them on the bench or sits with them, and you will, I mean, they call me the squirrel lady here or whatever. Um, but because nobody else, breaks uh tradition, right? They
Right. Right. We all we all have our to-do lists, and we're all so busy with what's going on in our mind that we have to get done. This has to happen, that has to happen. That I think sometimes we overlook what we really need to be looking at inside ourselves.
Yeah, that's really well put. The human doing, not being. I think people are becoming more and more aware of it, when they are so frayed at the edges that something has to shift. Remember when I was channeling my first book and Hippo said, "You humans are so lopsided in how you portion off your time and energy. It should be, in the words of a hippo, it should time in stillness, time in play, and time in work and to-dos." So I'm sure anybody listening to this could go, time in stillness, 15 minutes maybe. Time in play, I don't know, maybe on the weekend, not sure. Got a lot of chores to do. Time in work and to-dos, that's 98% of the pie.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
Yeah.
and some advice, one of my other horses always says, be here, be present. And
Mm.
it's so simple. Four little words, be here, be present. And I'm like, and he is the other one that always says, live in the present moment. And I'm like, yeah, how true that is. Because us humans are always in the next step. We're always moving, thinking what we got to do here, got to do there, that we forget the beauty is right here and the power is in that present moment.
And you know what? Your animals will respond to you. Notice the difference in their behavior. A cat, for example, will stare you down when you are stuck in the monkey mind. So many
Mhm.
people are like, why does my cat stare at me so much? I said, did you ever notice what you were thinking when they were staring you down? Um, and the other component is that there is no better being than a horse in their extreme sensitivity and their size and with their mission to help us awaken. They respond like nobody's business to every thought you have, and you can see it.
Mhm.
Very hard to avoid noticing a horse's behavior changing.
Yes.
But that's for anybody that has a horse. Yeah, that's your instrument of awakening. So if you want to see if your Reiki class worked, hold your hands up. Watch the horse. Yeah, they respond to the energy of you and your thoughts and your emotions all the time.
Yeah, they do. And they're so alert to everything that's happening around them. And I feel they just feel all the energy from everything everywhere because they know your energy, your mood way before you ever get to them. They know what it's like. And so I feel they feel it all around them because they're always watching. I mean, there may be a cat somewhere and my horse knows it before I even see the cats there. So they're so in tune of the happenings around them.
I'm glad you said that because as sensitive as we are, for example, to technology, to noise, to human disharmony, now magnify that. I don't even know what power to put that at. And that's what even the rabbits told me, that they don't just hide to be physically safe. They hide to process all this energy. They feel everything way more intensely than we do. And one more thing, they live completely transparent lives with each other. They know what each other is thinking. So if you really want a growth experience, could you even imagine living with another human when you both could hear each other's thoughts? So anytime you have animals, if they're not getting along, I beg you to consider that they are dealing with complete transparency to each other at all times.
Mhm.
They can't hide their thoughts or their emotions. So if one of them feels cheated, they all know, right?
Yes.
They really are our teachers in every way, especially the more you learn about what their lives consist of and how much they feel. It's like, wow, that's really hard.
It it is magical when you take that time to relate to the animals like that, because they bring so much into your life. It's magical is how I say it. And that's what it is when you let them animals become part of your full circle web and live in harmony with them.
Beautifully said. That's why I always ask people, try to notice the difference within yourself.
Hmm.
You sit with your animal.
Yeah.
When you walk into a barn, notice the change in your body. And I mean, everybody talks about the Heart Math Institute and how they've measured the resonance of a horse's heart, which is 5 times stronger, the electromagnetic energy of the horse's heart, 5 times stronger than a human heart. And the waves are all calm and coherent, which causes human pulse, blood pressure to drop, heart rate drops. We are always in response to them.
Yeah.
When a cat purrs, right?
Yes.
It's extremely healing. So yeah, that is what I would perhaps challenge people to do. Since animals know that energy is the priority, if you want to enter their worlds, one of the things they always say is start experiencing energy for yourself.
Hmm.
How you feel when you move from place to place, or how do you feel with one person or another, or how do you feel in our presence? It really helps us, instead of always insisting they understand our ways. Like, okay, teach the dog to press buttons that emit a word. It's still forcing them to learn our way
Right.
to communicate, instead of us stepping across the line and learning what's really innate in all of us, is that we can communicate beyond our 5 senses with them the way they do.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Oh, Sandra, this has just been beautiful. And I know you and I could continue to chat about different experiences. I have so many that keep coming up in my mind, and I'm like, where did the time go? This show is almost over again and coming to a close. So, a couple things as we begin to close this show. I would love to have you return where you and I can chat more about the connections of humans and animals and all the beautiful channeling that you do with wild animals, with domesticated, with all the animals. I'd love to have you share more.
I would love to do that. So,
Oh, awesome. And then the other thing, would you please share with our listeners the best ways to connect with you?
absolutely. The easiest way is my website. On there is information about personal sessions, workshops, my books. There's a whole bunch of channelings on there and interviews, and that's just S Mendelson, MENDELSON.com. And I also have 2 Facebook pages, Sandra.L.Mendelson or We Walk Beside You. They mostly have the same information. We Walk Beside You is the name of my book series. That's where that comes from. So those are the most direct ways to reach.
Oh, and I will tell you, her Facebook and Instagram pages are incredible. I love the channeling she puts on there. And it always seems it's just what I need to hear for that day that's coming through to an animal. So I want to thank you personally for them beautiful channels
Oh my
you
goodness,
do.
it's such a circle. Just keeps going around.
Yes, it
Thank
does.
you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. And with that, I want to wish you magical days until you and I connect again here on Robust Lifestyle Show. And I also would like to thank all of our listeners for listening to this magical show with our amazing diva, Sandra Mendelson. Please share this show with your family and friends. Check out all the other hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. And remember some of the golden nuggets that her and I chatted about and that Sandra left with us from the animals. Make the space and show up. Live in harmony with the animals. We are all in that full circle web together. Live in oneness, and that is so beautiful. And feel that energy of others, animals, people that are around you, and you will step into that beautiful web of life. And with that, I want to wish all of you a magical day. Remember, be kind to all, including your animals. Give your animals a great big extra hug and share all your love with them as they so deserve it. Until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles, stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.